Right now, last time, barring a possible replay, it's time for the quick picks.
Some of these critics, these pundits,
I absolutely adore them lads. I have unbelievable time for them, but they're a great bunch, but it's not acceptable.
I'd like to play the hard man when they're on it. It's not very pleasant when you're trying to manage a team. All you're looking for is a bit of civility and a bit of decency, but they just miss you like you know, you have nothing to do with the bloody occasion.
Okay, let us have a look at the scoreboard going into the final week, as Adrian said, possibly the final week of the quick picks. It is who in the lead? It is going to be Tommy in the lead, I think, at the moment. 45.
Followed by Adrian 44, Will 43, and then some other lad who's going to stay there. He's on 39.
Yeah, it's me at the bottom of it. As we've already established, we have absolutely no interest in the scoreboard. But Tommy, you confident of holding on to your top spot? There is no prize for this, by the way, which just shows how meaningless this whole thing is.
It's absolutely not meaningless. Any internal competition off the ball is very much meaningful. Am I confident? Absolutely not. I have absolutely no confidence in calling this All-Ireland final one way or another. I actually, lads, have no idea how I'm top of the table. I can't remember top of my head how I got that many calls right.
Well, I can tell you, Tommy, if you want, I can give you the insight. What happened was, midway through the tournament, I was in a runaway lead that was unassailable. And the rules were changed with a view to toppling me off the table because people felt, there was an agenda out there. And that's exactly what happened. And you fluked your way up to the top.
There you go, Adrian. An absolute fluke to get where I am.
Yeah. So what is your thought process then coming up with your prediction for this week, Tommy? We may as well have a look at the predictions this week. It's Tommy going for Mayo by 1. I'm going for the exact same thing. Adrian's going for Mayo by 3, and Will is going for Tyrone by 2. So, Tommy, you're first up there. Why Mayo by 1?
Can I change my pick now to Tyrone?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Can I go for a draw?
No.
You said
no. Give him a draw.
No, I'm only messing. I'm still going Mayo by 1. I think they're going to do it. I think Mayo are going to get the job done. I'm very surprised we're not split down the middle. I'm very surprised by that. I thought Adrian, when you're chasing, you would have gone for Tyrone.
I'm glad I didn't, looking at that, to be honest. But geez, Tommy, I don't know. It's exactly like you said. There isn't a game all year that I've been more torn about. It's impossible to know. Like, since Will predicted Wicklow to beat Wexford back in whatever it was, June, there's never been anything more close between the teams. I don't know. It's impossible. To be honest with you, I'll be absolutely honest. I sent this through to Joe yesterday when I was sending through my prediction. I'm going totally against what I actually think will happen.
Yeah. Do you not say Tyrone by 7?
That was my weekly. That was my weekly gag. I actually do think Tyrone are going to win it. I can't bring myself to make the prediction, so that's why I'm going for Mayo and keep my fingers crossed. And as I said, I don't think there's that much in it anyway, so I'm happy to go again my head.
Why can't you bring yourself to back Tyrone?
Well, my mother's from Mayo, and it has to happen, Tommy. We've had long years in our house where there's been and this thing about the who was it that Owen was talking to during the week, and he was talking about the RF who we couldn't see, was saying, listen, it's all about the journey and it's nothing to do with the destination. That stuff is going to get blown into a rocket with Elon Musk up to whatever planet he's trying to get on as soon as they win the thing, and they're just going to go, yeah, no, it was totally about winning. So that's it. I have no great sort of anti-Tyrone stuff. I just desperately want Mayo to win it, and I can't for that reason back against.
If there's any Mayo people sitting at home here and listening to this, I'd imagine their stomachs are turning. There's no room for sentimentality in the quick picks, never mind on a GAA pitch. The reason I'm going for Mayo is that I've seen Mayo in the flesh 4 times this year, and I've seen them building something. I wasn't convinced that they go in and they'd beat Dublin, but I thought they had a chance. Obviously missing Cillian O'Connor is a massive, massive blow, but this is a Mayo team that have got to back-to-back All-Ireland finals. They're with James Horan, who has an unbelievable amount of experience, one of the top managers in the game over the last decade. Brian Dooher and Fergal Logan are still learning on the job a wee bit in intercounty football. That Donegal game, if Michael Murphy didn't get sent off, could have gone both ways. It could have gone the other way very easily that day, and they've built from there. Monaghan should have caught them. Conor McManus and Jack McCarron kick wides that they wouldn't kick any other day of the week. They should have caught them that day. And Tyrone were perfectly set to beat Kerry. I'm not going to say who they were, but I was getting texts from friends from Kerry in the 24 hours before the game saying the ambush is coming. Kerry manifested that defeat, Kerry fans.
But
they were afraid that Tyrone would catch them. And they were like, do you know what? Just in case we get caught here, we'll say the ambush is coming. But the ambush had been set all along. Tyrone were always set up to beat Kerry, perfectly set. I don't think the same game plan can work against Mayo. They're a completely different proposition. It's chaos versus chaos this weekend. And I think Mayo were a little bit more control of the chaos.
But is everything you're saying they're not a reason to believe in Tyrone somewhat? Like, this is something that's been coming into my head as I really doubt my prediction. And you talk about Tyrone just edging some of those games. Like, they edged some of those games. Nobody knows which way this game is going tomorrow. So if somebody's going to win it, they're going to have to edge it. Tyrone have experience doing it. And everything you say there about, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas of all the other teams that could have beaten them this year. The same kind of goes for Mayo. Like, I would say that Dublin were worse in their semi-final than Kerry were against Tyrone. And, if you want to go shoulda, coulda, woulda, Dublin should have been better. Dublin could have been better. Robbie Henley could have missed his free. He could not have got a second one. So, like, if you're going to use that for Tyrone, you've got to use it for Mayo as well. So I'm not sure I'm buying that as the reason why Mayo win. I think Mayo actually just have better depth, and I think they have more grit in some of the younger players that they have. And I think that the winning of the game against Dublin was such a massive thing on their shoulder that they just couldn't get over the last couple of years. And regardless, as I say, that Dublin were poor on the night, I think still getting over that psychological mountain was a massive thing, almost akin to winning an All-Ireland final. So that's what's been giving me belief in terms of tipping them. But it's very, very hard. Like, Will, you're the one man who actually has gone for Tyrone this week.
Yeah, look, I think my belief comes from the fact that Tyrone have come through a series of very difficult games which have been left in nail-biting situations. The Donegal game, which Tommy was talking about, the Ulster final against Monaghan, even when they drifted a little bit, they were able to find answers and actually hold on and be so controlled in possession in the closing stages to ensure that they finished out that game on the right side of the result. And then against Kerry, while everyone is focused on Kerry's failings within the semi-final, like Tyrone, again, their performance in extra time, a little bit a mirror almost of Mayo against Dublin in the other semi-final. I thought Tyrone were excellent the minute that David Clifford went off, and that once Kerry lost that outlet, Tyrone were able to shut down the game very impressively indeed. And I actually disagree with some of your Mayo supporters who are saying it's about the journey, not the destination. This time round, it's definitely about the destination, because there's not too many finals that Mayo have gone into over the last 20 years where genuinely it is felt as 50-50 as this week is. They were underdogs in pretty much all the finals that they played against Dublin. They were underdogs going into finals against Kerry. And this time round, there's an expectation on Mayo to end the 70-year hoodoo because they have taken Dublin out in the semi-final. And I just wonder psychologically what that's going to do for Mayo, and the fact that Tyrone, because of the COVID-19 situation, this has worked out nicely with their preparation going into the game. They've had a nice little break period, and now they're pretty much up on the back of having beaten Kerry in the semi-final. I think the two teams are going into this slightly differently. And as a result, I think Tyrone are just going to edge them out. I think defence might win over forwards this weekend. And I was very taken by what Conor McManus said on Off the Ball last night. Like, I've been listening to so many previews and reading so many previews this week, and all the different blogs about Cillian O'Connor might be back in training. McLaughlin, they found some way of making sure that he can get onto the pitch. Oisin Mullen is back, and I've actually enjoyed the build up to this All-Ireland final a lot. But I think Conor McManus made a very good point, which is that Tyrone were more than happy to cede kickouts and to cede quite a bit of possession against Kerry to allow Kerry to come into their trap and then turn them over. If Mayo can find the answers and have great variety to their attack, and if they can cause turnovers themselves, Mayo probably edge this one. But if Tyrone put the game plan out like they did against Kerry, I give them every chance of winning. And this wasn't just some pick to go. I think that Tommy will go for Mayo, so I'll go for Tyrone. I genuinely think Tyrone are just going to just about edge it. I was going to go for a draw, lads, but we kind of had this rule that we weren't doing draws, and we picked whoever wins. So even if it goes to penalties,
there is a replay in this one. Yeah, there is a replay in this one.
I assume what happens here, lads, if one of us was to, whoever we pick, if Tyrone go on to win on penalties or Mayo go on to win on penalties and replay, it's still the winner that we picked as opposed to a draw. That's the reason I didn't go for a draw.
Yeah.
I will be coming back to the quick fix if it's
what happens if so I've gone for 3 points to Mayo. I wish I'd gone 2. Tommy's gone 1. If Mayo win by 3 or more, I win. Is that right?
Yeah. Is that all you care about?
Yeah. And by the way, come here, I would say, right, like, just to take on Will's point there, I think that there's a case to be made that Mayo have had a handy path to the final. I know everybody's going to say, sure, listen, they beat Dublin. But, I mean, look what they had to come through in Connacht. Like, ultimately, a poor enough Galway side. Was it Sligo before that, whoever else. And Dublin, that like we're just not really at the races. Like, you know, Philly McMahon on this morning talking about the lack of leadership. And I think that the hindsight merchants after the final might be able to go, well, look at what Tyrone had to come through against, like Cavan, Armagh, Donegal, and then as Owen would say, the best team in the country at the minute. And like that game could have gone either way in a way that the maybe it might have been less so the case with the Dublin match. So yeah, I think that the hindsight merchants might be able to afterwards go, and include myself in that, say, well, look at you, wasn't it obvious? Tyrone had a really tough path to the final, and were clearly in a better run of form than Mayo were, who ultimately had a handy-ish path to get there.
I just think the Tyrone matchups were perfectly set for Kerry. They focused on Kerry's most important players and had the right kind of personnel to detail them. I'm not sure that they can match up against Mayo's important players. How are they going to stop?
Does the same go for Mayo, Tommy?
That's what I mean. And I just think that form, it's hard to read into form going into this one a little bit, because from the semi-finals, I know what you're saying about Dublin perhaps being undercooked, but Kerry played one way all game long. Kerry went for goal for that whole game, and that is what let them down. Kerry should have won that game, but they played one way the whole way along, and Tyrone were set up to stop that way, which was conceding goals after the mauling they had got in the league. And I just think it's a very, very different game 13 days later or 14 days later. Like, the matchups are going to be fascinating. Like, who takes Conor McKenna? Like, is Conor McKenna even that important? Who stops Paddy Durkin? Who's Conor Myler going to tag this week? There's no real Paddy Clifford for Mayo. He's not going to go on Ryan O'Donoghue, who's really their playmaker, because he's in closer to the full forward line. So I just think that Tyrone could match horses for courses against Kerry, and they could nullify some of the Kerry threats. I'm not sure they can do it this week against Mayo. I think it's just going to be chaos. And I think Mayo are going to edge it.
It is Adrian by 3 for Mayo, Tommy by 1 for Mayo, and I'm going for the same as Tommy. And then Will is going for Tyrone by 2. That is this week's GAA Quick Picks.